This week, we are talking about colonizing Mars with the help of synthetic biology. Synthetic biology is the science of modifying organisms to give them a new purpose. We're not just going to talk about using it to create a species capable of surviving the radiation, temperatures, and other harsh characteristics of Mars, although there are efforts to do that, of course. However, we will talk about using human waste to create food and a mostly autonomous and thus long-term solution to feeding future human colonizers. This topic is in the realms of astrobiology, which is the study of life outside of Earth, including trying to understand where life may have originated, places humans can potentially live, and, most popularly, if we are alone in the universe. With any mission, cost is a huge limiting factor, so making trips as self-sustaining as possible is integral to its success. So, here's how this proposed system would work. First off, it's interesting to know that astronaut urine, along with their sweat, shower water, etc., is already being recycled on the International Space Station, and has been since 2010. To put it simply, there are two main parts to turning urine and wastewater into drinking water. The first part is the urine processor assembly. Here, urine is distilled, all the gases are removed, and then that fluid moves on to the second part, the water processor assembly. There, any excess air is removed, the fluids go through a bunch of different filters to remove particulates, dissolved contaminants, bacteria, the brine or salts in the liquid are removed, any other organics in the water are then treated with oxidation, and then finally get stored in a water tank. There's also a biocide added to the water tank just for extra security. So with all of these steps, the water on the International Space Station is generally much cleaner than the water we drink here on Earth. NASA is actually using its high-tech water filtration system to bring purified water to in-need communities around the world, such as northern Iraq and sub-Saharan Africa. Right now on the ISS, about 75 to 80% of wastewater can be purified and reused. So this means that we still currently need deliveries of water each year, which may be another issue we face. Still, scientists are continually working on getting this percentage higher. Okay, so now for the newer science. Researchers at Penn State have proposed a method of turning astronaut feces into an edible goo. This contraption is 4 feet long by 4 inches wide and collects the poop and stores it in a group of bacteria, which breaks down the feces with anaerobic respiration and produces methane. This methane then feeds a different type of bacteria, Methococcus capsulatus, which grows to have cells high in protein and fat. This process is already used to create some animal feeds, however, hasn't yet been approved for human consumption. To ensure removal of pathogens, similar experiments were completed in more alkaline and also higher temperature environments. Each of those tests also produced different species of bacteria that could potentially feed astronauts. Researchers ideally wish to get the system to recover about 85% of protein from waste. Each of these microbial products are said to taste fairly bland and maintain the consistency of Marmite or Vegemite, so some of your personal items might want to be some seasonings. Now, with the goal being just 85% recovery, this does mean that astronauts will need other food sources as well. Thankfully, there are ways to grow crops aboard the International Space Station to assist with the rest of their dietary needs. This innovative process of human waste to food is much faster than growing crops, takes up less space than pre-made meals, and recycles waste that is otherwise sealed and brought back to Earth to be examined, or just expelled into space. There are a few Mars mission plans already in the works in the United States. SpaceX plans to have their first manned mission to Mars as early as 2024. A couple of their plans are to send cargo vehicles ahead of manned rockets for supplies, and plan to refuel using Mars' local resources of CO2 and methane. SpaceX just had their third successful high-altitude flight test, but we're uncertain of how long this Mars mission will actually last. In comparison, NASA doesn't believe that any of their manned missions to Mars will take place before the 2030s. Plus, with the world record for the longest space flight being only 438 days, there are plenty of other obstacles to overcome, with NASA's estimated flight time to Mars being about 7 months one way. So what now? Will Mars missions ever be 100% autonomous? The answer, until we strike water out there, probably not entirely, although improvements are continually being made to the fluid processors to make them more efficient. Similarly, although this whole waste-to-food thing is great for sustaining long missions, you have to think about the mental health of these astronauts. Surely eating bland goo every day would drive anyone mad, so it's not a permanent solution, but it may allow us to get to Mars a little bit faster and cheaper. If you're watching this, you may be one of the many people in the world who feels hesitant to let scientists take buckets of microbes to other planets, since you fear potential contamination to an otherwise pristine and lifeless environment. That's a fair worry. In this case, with the food making and urine filtering, the bacteria that's being used is incapable of being exposed to the harmful radiation and temperatures of Mars for an extended period of time. So rest assured that no life will be introduced with these methods if any were to get outside of the ISS. However, with countries all over the world having different beliefs and methods, forward or backward contamination to some extent is bound to happen. International discussions should take place to determine what should be allowed on other planets. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to comment any questions or ideas you have for future videos down below.